Dre, what have I been preaching about since last season? These damn GMs.
Yeah.
Why do they keep getting off the hook? James Jones has done a piss poor, abysmal job with how this roster is constructed up to this point right now. If anybody needs to go first, it's that
him.
nigga.
They went 4 for 27 on the 3-point line. This Houston team had 5 assists in 40 minutes. Do you know how crazy it is for a team in the national championship game to only
have 5 assists?
5 assists in 40 minutes. That's
I'm not discrediting the team for capitalizing on your idiocy throughout the last 5-10 minutes.
But also, the ref is not the reason why Duke only made 1 field goal attempt in the last 10 minutes.
Yep.
Minutes of a basketball game. That's really kind of
10 minutes.
Last 10 minutes. The last 10 minutes and 25 seconds, they only scored 1 field goal.
Wow.
All right, what up, what up? Welcome to the All Grind Sports Show. We are politically incorrect. I go by the name of JC. Here are my wonderful brothers and co-hosts. As y'all can see, man, this is episode 148 that we finna put in the books. Thank y'all for tuning out the way y'all have been. Make sure y'all continue to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Y'all could have been anywhere in the world, but y'all here with us, and we appreciate that. So, again, want to thank y'all for running up the numbers and downloads and clips and all that, the way y'all, the way y'all been doing, man. And let's keep rocking. We got both of my youngins in the building today, man. You know what I'm saying? We can call this the millennial episode. First off, we got the first youngin from the So Icy gang, tatted like a biker gang, Andre the Sports Junkie.
How you doing, man? My bad, I'm about to flip the screen right now. Man, it is podcast motherfucking Wednesday, and it is the best. I was really upset, bro. I was like, I hope we're having a show this week. And then you hit me up. I was like, yes.
I ain't gonna lie, it was a close call, but I ended up deciding, let's go ahead and put something together. So I appreciate y'all being here so we can still give the people, some content this week.
Oh, absolutely. I was just
before we gear up for the playoffs.
I almost threw my remote when I saw the text. You ready for tomorrow? I'll be waiting for those messages.
Absolutely. And then next up, we got my other youngin, my guy, one of the most brilliant sports minds I know, period. I'm going to say that every single time. I'm going to give an F what y'all talking about. Ole Miss's finest, my guy Jay Will in the building.
Yes, sir. What's good, man? Just before we start the show, I would like to send my prayers out to the southern Mid-South region. If you haven't been paying attention, last week we went on a 7-day stretch with tornadoes and storms. And I think just in the Memphis region alone, areas that's kind of next to Memphis, they had 106 tornado warnings in a span of 7. I kid you not.
Wow.
Usually, for me, my house, I was not affected, even though we had sirens go off. But there's houses 5-10 minutes away from me that they don't have a house at all. So I like to pray for those.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything about that. I think I've seen some type of tornado thing, but I don't know how big it was.
It was a tough stretch, man. Like Memphis, parts of Memphis right now is flooded, up to top sign.
Well, most definitely prayers out, man, to any of the states and regions that was affected. Man. I had no idea.
Yes, sir.
That being said, we could jump right into it. We'll start with the Final Four recap and go the Florida and Auburn game. What was our thoughts on that?
Man, that was a tough one, man. Because first of all, when making my brackets,
my bad. Hold on, the team that Isaiah was talking shit about in the first place said shouldn't have been the overall number 1 seed. They took care of business, so well, props to them. But go ahead, Jay.
Coming into this tournament, Auburn was my team that I felt like had the potential to win it all. I feel like that throughout the remainder of the playoffs or the tournament, excuse me. Florida is such a weird team to me, man, because, and I have to watch what I say because, Isaiah going to be back.
You already know. That nigga wait.
Florida is a team where it's they can struggle about certain points of the game, but once they get the ball and once they start shooting, it's hard to stop their little scoring stretches. It's almost kind of scary. When they get hot, nobody can really stop them, and that momentum kind of carries them throughout the game.
And they've been phenomenal at capitalizing on opponents' mistakes as well. Like they last 3-4 games. Like
it's kind of like they were built to win these type of close games. Like, and that's kind of been the story throughout the tournament for them. They've been able to kind of rally their way into getting some of these tougher wins, even if they didn't play as well, in the first 20 minutes of the game. They've always kind of bounced back and played better in the second half. I've always kind of felt like throughout the year, they're more of a second half team. They kind of feel you out the first half or whatever. And then when it's the second half, that's when they start having their hot streaks. That's when they have their little runs. And they can kind of shut down offenses sometimes. I'm not going to say all the times. But they have such really, really great stretches, and it kind of carries until the end of the game. They kind of carry that momentum, I guess, is what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Once they catch fire, they're difficult to contain.
Yeah,
and like we said, oh my bad, Jay. Well, go ahead. Damn.
I kind of like what you was about to say. Like the Walter Clayton kid, he was on fire that game. I think he had like 29 points against Auburn, if I'm not mistaken.
5 for 8 from behind the arc.
Yeah, he's a tough kid. I know Isaiah kind of feels up and down about him, but he showed his worth in this playoff in this tournament. Now, I know, and Isaiah mentioned this earlier. If we're going to say Mount Rushmore, that's a Florida basketball players. That's a tough conversation. I feel like we got to have that conversation soon, Isaiah. But he definitely has solidified himself as a real Florida Gator, in my opinion, especially after that all.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I think with if you look at it, Florida came back they were down 6 against UConn, 10 against Texas Tech, 12 against Houston. So it's just once you give them that, remember how we talked about momentum on this show?
Absolutely.
Once momentum is a real fucking thing, because once they get a whiff of it, they're gonna just see what happens the whole way. And that's a dangerous team to play with, a team that has momentum. And that's what Florida did. They have poise. They didn't crack or fade under pressure. And both teams didn't have necessarily a good start. Florida doesn't necessarily always have a good start, but it's just the simple fact that they can, down the stretch is where they get you. Down the stretch is where they're like, all right, now we gotta lock in because this is do or die now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And real quick, I just
want to actually play like their season.
And they they force teams to use the shot clock too, because the defense is so contested.
But the teams that they also been kind of like hurting themselves in a way too, because they kind of do this thing where they're like playing not to lose instead of playing to win. Like
and they panic.
Still have to show some form of aggression in those, winding down times. That's just how it goes. Otherwise, stuff like that can happen. They're playing out of desperation, and you just trying to escape.
A 10-point lead is nothing now.
Not at all. It's
not
never really has been. Like,
I feel like, and I was about to say that too, JC. I was going to wait till you said that against Houston. But yeah, it always kind of felt like throughout this tournament, whenever Florida played a team, kind of felt like a boxing match. Florida was kind of filling them out the first few rounds, and they kind of got kind of close to the end of the game. Now they're trying to, they're starting to deliver knockout punches. They're making these incredible plays. So I feel like, and I'm not trying to say this in a bad way. I feel like Auburn especially beat themselves because they were chucking up too many threes, in my opinion. I feel like they were kind of looking for an easy bucket, and that kind of allowed Florida to kind of gather themselves, and they started getting hot. And Auburn, obviously, they didn't have an answer for him. And Bruce Pearl, even though he's a magnificent coach, his game plan the last 5-6 minutes of the game, it kind of felt like boo-boo because I didn't know really what Auburn was doing. And mind you, this is an Auburn team who is older. Their roster, I think I've said this before, is older than the OKC Thunder's roster. So when you have a veteran,
that's crazy.
kind of like that, yeah, them guys on average 25, 24 range. Wow. It's like when you have a team like that who's kind of executing very, very poorly in the last 5 minutes of a game, it's a really bad look as a coach because they really just did a horrible job trying to close out that game against.
You should know better.
Yeah,
and that's what gets you put on the hot. That's what gets your job put on the hot seat.
See, I ain't gonna say because Bruce Pearl, he's a winner, but this was another one of those seasons where it's like once again, he's so close to the mountain peak. This is probably the best team he's ever had at Auburn. And once again, it's another kind of fallen short type season, another Final Four loss. It's just like, when is he going to be able to get over that hump and make it to the national championship game, you know?
Hey, Jay, I'm sorry, but I just realized how down bad you are putting the damn women's golf background, my nigga. Like,
I just
like,
noticed
be
too.
for real right now, bro. Be effing for real.
The real champions, man.
You're freaking hilarious.
Name
Jay
two girls
Will.
on that roster.
Hey, man, you know, you got, I'm sure one of them names like Mary Kate, Mary Ann.
This guy would know, bro. I'm dead.
This nigga, man.
He said,
You got other things to focus on for sure. So I'll leave you alone.
What happened to baseball?
I got a clip that I was finna post before the show, but I'm gonna post it after. But I got a clip for you after we get off here.
That's good news for me.
Next up, one of the biggest choke jobs in March Madness history. We got Houston and Duke.
Bro, I just don't fucking understand. Like, what? The game is not over until that clock hits 000. Not 0.1, no, 0.00. Yep. And what makes me mad about that was it was a mental breakdown. Like, literally a break. Well, I'm not going to say mental, but just a breakdown in the last few minutes. You know
what comparison I give this game?
To what?
I think Jay knows where I'm going.
What you about to say?
2013, Miami Spurs Game 6.
I feel like this.
Talk to me.
I just feel like I was watching the game, and before I say anything, because I know people are going to say scream refs. I understand the refs had a couple bad calls. It's whatever. It's a basketball
on
game.
both sides,
you know. But also, the ref is not the reason why Duke only made one field goal attempt in the last 10 minutes.
Yep.
Minutes of a basketball game. That's really kind of
10 minutes.
Last 10 minutes. The last 10 minutes and 25 seconds, they only scored one field goal.
Fuck.
You know how bad that is in a Final Four game, and you're Duke,
and you got Coach K in the stands.
It's a really at least a bad taste in your mouth to me as a Duke fan. It's like the opportunity itself was right there. They had the big lead, you know, and they had.
But everybody was also kind of just talking Cooper Flag in the championship as if he had already made it. Like, even Isaiah had to tell Dre to slow down in the chat that same exact day.
That's why I didn't make any mentions of it after. I'm like, you know what? You're right. They play later tonight.
I feel like that's why. Go ahead, Dre.
I was just going to say, sure enough, got off work, clocked out, said, oh, yeah, let me go see what Cooper Flag and Duke did. Oh, I almost threw my fucking phone in the street.
6 points within the last 30 seconds of a Final Four game.
But look
there
at
is
JC.
Absolutely no excuse whatsoever. I don't care what you're talking about. There's nothing the refs can single-handedly do for you to choke off a game like that. Oh.
And I feel like it's so bad. Like, I'm glad you mentioned that, because Cooper Flag is an amazing player. Don't get me wrong. But it's very annoying when people come into March Madness and they're like, oh, Duke's going to win it because they got Cooper Flag. It reminds me of like a few years back when they did the same thing to Zion.
Yeah.
They were like an early round X, and they had Cam Reddish and RJ Barrett.
UCLA did it with Lonzo. I remember UCLA was predicted to go all the way.
Not to mention, even like 2014, I think, when Kentucky was playing Wisconsin, they had D-Book. They had Tyler Ulis, Trey Lyles, Harrison, just to name a few guys.
Yeah, NBA players.
And yeah,
for real.
Even though they made it to the national championships, they got bounced by Frank Kaminsky and the Wisconsin Badgers. So I mean, I feel like if you're a fan of March Madness, you can't really just look at names. You have to look at play styles. You have to look at how deep.
It'd just be hard for people to fathom that guy with that team is going to lose at some point.
With that talent.
But
I think that's what they be going off of. And then Cooper, I mean, to me, that last shot he missed, that was nerves, my nigga. You was sharp on that. Like, that's nerves to me. You knew y'all effed up. And yeah, once he missed that, it was pretty much a wrap.
It was horrible basketball at that last 10 minutes offensively.
But
It wasn't anything special either. It was just even more crazy to me.
But when you make only one field goal in the last 10 minutes, you kind of almost deserve to lose that. Like,
Almost.
that's an insane stat line. Like, you can't.
Even if they win, they deserve to lose that.
Yeah, because that's poor play. Because then you got to go play Florida. If say they had won, then they had to go play Florida in the title game, and then that's a team you really can't sleep on because they'll come back out of nowhere. So,
like Houston did.
Yeah, like Houston. And in a way, we didn't have a Cinderella story this year, but I was talking to my friend, and he kind of said, in a way, not literally, because they all four were number one seeds, but he said, in a way.
Nobody was talking about Florida like this when the season started, to be fair.
But he said, in a way, though, the Duke and Houston one was, he said that was that was Houston's, he felt like Houston was kind of the Cinderella story because no one had them get
Houston
past
beating them. Yeah.
Yeah. He says, so if you technically want to say Cinderella story, you can say that for
But to be fair, it ain't like Vegas like super disrespected them. I think when we went over it was like what, like a -3.5 or something like that. So
yeah.
It ain't like they like, super disregard them. They knew Houston could pop them.
And real quick, Houston, for anyone who might be watching, Cinderella story, you get what I mean. I just don't want to come off like sound rude. You guys got there because you guys had the wins to get there and you earned your spot there. So let's not sleep past that.
How were people viewing Houston when the season started?
They were top. This is also a very veteran leadership type team. My guy LJ Cryer, who I hope to see in the NBA one day. I mean, he's got a history of
four of their 5 starters were seniors or something, right?
Yeah, probably 3 of these guys I would not be surprised gets drafted, whether it's first or second.
Oh wow!
So this team that
says a lot because it's hard to get one of them spots.
This is like Houston 6th straight time, 6th straight time,
making 7th, I think,
16 or farther. Yeah. But it's just like once again, it's kind of like Gonzaga. How Gonzaga always has a good team, but then they can just never really win a national championship, or they can't really make that run people expect them to. That's kind of how I feel about Houston because they can make it. They can make a run in the tournament, but it's just never really enough, And it's kind of difficult because now that they're in a different conference, it's like okay, we don't have to play all these small schools anymore. We can play up against the big dogs in conference play. That way, when leading up to March Madness, it's not more of like we've only played a few of these teams. Now they're in a conference where it's like, okay, we got to play the BYUs, we got to play the Texas Techs, we got to play some of the other top dogs in the country. So we should be more prepared going into March Madness because we already know how this feels like. And it showed this year because, like, once again, they made it to the national championship, but it was just once again not enough.
So
Jay, and it's almost like my bad, Jay. Well, I was just gonna say, and it's almost like an ongoing. It's like we almost know the storybook ending. Like congratulations, great regular season, but in the tournament, it's like which round you getting knocked out.
So, is that game? Is this safe to say that it's in that like Seahawk on Patriots realm, Atlanta, Spurs, Miami? Like, is this on that list now? Like how I would kind of put that. Job.
You know where I would kind of put that. It's almost like. Remember how many times Aaron Rodgers used to get to the NFC Championship consecutively, but just couldn't get over that hump? That's what that is.
Honestly, Dre, that's low.
That's what Duke is.
That's like a
I was referring to Duke.
Oh, you're referring to Duke? Oh. No. I thought you meant my bad. I was about to say.
Yeah, I'm saying that Final Four game is that in those realms of like when we talk about the biggest choke job in sports history.
Yeah,
is that on that list now?
It kind of has to be because, like, remember, this is a Duke team. They lost Coach K a couple years back. People really didn't know what was going to happen to this program. They didn't know if they made the right hire. Now it was like, okay, Duke can finally put themselves back on top of the college basketball world. I mean, they have the talent at the coach too, but it's just like they had an opportunity. But when you don't, once again, when you only make one field goal in the past, like last 10 minutes,
they were up like what 14 points with less than 10 minutes left,
Like they had the game in the bag. Like that's how crazy it was. They had this win. All they had to do was preserve it, whether that was getting to the line and making buckets that way or whatever. But they just.
But that's what I'm saying. That'd be the problem when you play not to lose instead of playing to win. You have to keep that mentality. Like I know as much as people hate Doc Rivers and talk about how trash he is, there was something that I took from him that I remember he used to preach to his players, where he said, like, you can't get comfortable when you up, 20, 25 points. Try to go up 40, 50. Like, don't start playing to be all preservative and, let's just get out the game. Like, no, you got to go
don't
up
play scared.
40, 50, which I know is an ironic message coming from him. But, it was something that, could be applied nonetheless. And I think that's a mentality that when teams have, historic meltdowns like this, I think it stems from that, like them not executing.
They get too comfortable, basically.
Way too comfortable. They think the game is over before it's over.
Exactly. That's usually the main problem. And then all of a sudden, when the other team's starting to get momentum, it's like, okay, now they kind of got to recalibrate themselves to kind of get back in the fight. And by that time, for some teams, it's just too late to kind of rebound off of that.
And this is a perfect segue to sort of the same kind of theme with the national championship game.
And also, too, like, and like we said, Duke knows how to recruit, too. So it's not like, they'll be in March Madness again next year, but it's just this opportunity this year and the path that they had. This was supposed to be their year to technically win it all, and they just let it go.
And Jay, by the way, because we talked about it last week, but you weren't here. But you was the only one to kind of semi have my back when I said what I said about Cooper possibly staying one more year. Can you explain what the partial agreement might have been, or if you even still agree at all in some type of capacity?
So first, Cooper Flag, two things actually. Cooper Flag comes to me as a guy who is extremely loyal to a program. I kind of saw it after that loss to Duke. I kind of saw it throughout the season. Even like during the season, I think he even made like a statement where he's kind of even questioning going to the NBA draft this year.
He did. Yeah, he did.
And secondly,
people totally glossed over that though. Like he never said that.
It's but like secondly too, and I just saw this morning. There was a guy who plays at Texas Tech who just locked down like a $4 million NIL basketball deal at Texas Tech. Can you imagine how much Duke will try to throw at Cooper Flag to get him to stay another season?
And that's what I was saying as well. Like, it's not like back in the day where it's like, nah, I got to go get this generational money right away. It's like you're making millions of dollars right now. It's like, and if you go out there with the mentality of like, oh, I might get hurt, it's like, okay, then go. Because the fact that you have that mentality already, you're thinking negative, you probably are going to F around and get hurt. Like, you shouldn't even be thinking like that. You're just playing basketball. You can get hurt at any time. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I just feel like he can be, my reasoning was, I don't know if you saw the show last week, but my reasoning was, I just feel like right now, yes, he could potentially be a all-star or at least flirting with that, like being like a 20 to 25 a game type of guy. I do think that that's probably in his vision. But I think he could be a polished superstar out the gate if he stays one more year to allow his game to mature a little more, me personally.
Yeah. And I kind of felt like, when people say they're like college kids, when they're talking about scared of injury, I feel like that was looking at okay, I'm not getting paid anything in college. So if I stay another year and I get hurt, I ain't making nothing,
Right.
Like a career-ending injury. But like Cooper Flag, he can come back. He's still going to be making millions. Like he can make an NBA. He can potentially make an NBA rookie contract in college.
Literally.
So like I don't know if people have that same mentality because of that. Because at the end of the day, whether he decides to go pro, whether he decides to stay in college, he's still going to be collecting a bag.
He'll probably arguably get more attention and popularity being at Duke than if he gets like drafted to Utah or Toronto or something like. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, exactly. Like nobody's gonna be paying attention to you as much.
Exactly. So I don't.
And honestly, too, I was just gonna say too. Even with like, for an example, like the announcer for the women's era was saying like, when this is it, she's like with all her injuries that she's got going on there, she was like, I'm cool after this. She was like, I'm a physical therapist. I'm cool. And I was like,
well, the women, that's a different story. Like it's literally like a negative for them to go to the W and they have the option to stay in college. It's really weird with them. That's a whole nother. That's a show
Like
topic
story.
right there. Yeah. Like, yeah, we ain't got time to get into that. It's literally more beneficial to stay your butt in college in women's basketball for more reasons than we think.
And honestly, too,
I knew that was going to happen. Breaking news: Lucas Technical last night was rescinded, and I knew that it was going to happen.
Rescinded.
I'm sorry. I'm still saying rescinded.
You're good, bro. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
I called it. I said this. I knew this fit was going to happen, and sure enough, and we lost the game on that. But we'll move on.
That's one of those like y'all can't make mistakes like that at this crucial point of the time.
Especially in the seat. Like we're fighting for playoff position and all types of shit. Like you can't do shit like that.
But the biggest thing
that changed the whole game.
But the ultimate thing though is, and we talked about it so much on this show, momentum to close the year.
Yeah.
Anyway,
back to regular scheduled programming. We got the national championship game, Florida and Houston, which is another choke job on their line. Autumn.
This is 5 stars. Like a hater, man. I feel like Florida, they didn't win the game. Houston lost it because they had a lot of opportunities. Remember, this is.
So I need to get that Westbrook clip. You're like, what?
You know
what are you talking about?
This is the same this Houston team during the game. They went 3
Y'all niggas true.
They went 4 for 27 on the 3-point line. This Houston team had 5 assists in 40 minutes. Do you know how crazy it is for a team in the national championship game to only
have 5 assists
in 40 minutes?
I'm not discrediting the team for capitalizing on your idiocy throughout the last 5-10 minutes. 3-4 games in a row.
You know, because once again, Houston, they played good defensively for most of the game. It don't matter if you lose the game at the end. But like Walter Clayton was not hitting on anything. He was turning the ball over.
He got most of his points in the second half. Yeah, he had like 2 to 4 points or 3 points. Something like that.
The end of the first half, he had nothing. And I think he ended the last 10, 13 minutes of the game, he had like 12, 13 or something like that. But it's just another case of when Florida finally gets hot, it's hard to stop them. Because once Walter Clayton once he made that first little layup, it's like, okay, boom. And then at the gate, 3-pointer. Florida gets a turnover on the other end. Boom, it's another 3-pointer. And I promise you, I was in the chat. It was me and Andre, actually. We was in the chat. Florida was down like 11. And you know how Isaiah does his, oh, man, the game's over, man. We're not winning. I swear 2 seconds later.
I think I came in there too. I was like, you might be right this time.
Bro, I went to go use the bathroom. I came back. I looked at my phone and Dre was like, oh, snap, these boys only down by 2 now. I'm like, there's no way. I look at the game. I'm like, it's a tie ball game.
And they still could have won the game. They just.
And what was funny, JC, you were in the chat and were like, hey, not this time, brother.
Yeah, it ain't gonna work this time. And sure enough.
And every time
I say he ain't slick. I ain't saying he ain't slick. That nigga be trying to save himself so he could say, oh, I said we was gonna lose anyway. Or they win. So it's a win-win.
All I'm hearing is Florida won because of Isaiah's voodoo. That's it.
But at the end of the day though, too, their defense, what I really did, admire from Florida's defense in the second half down the stretch was, now they obviously allowed points in the paint, but what they didn't allow was easy mid-range, close-up mid-range shots. They made you run. They ran out your shot. They made you run out your shot clock, and then they made you, if you get a mid-range shot, it's going to be a tough contested attempt. Mm-hmm. We're going to make you shoot a 3. We're going to make you take a shot you don't want to take. And that's what I meant by letting the shot clock drain. And when they did that, you see them stuttering and panicking, and then they just throw the ball up or they turn it over. Offensively, Florida did a tremendous job. What do they always say? Good defense turns to good offense. Mm-hmm. They, don't get me wrong, Houston was getting some turnovers, but they didn't score as much off of those turnovers. Florida did a tremendous job of turning defense into transition points. And like Jay Will said, when they get rolling, they're really tough to go against.
It's tough, man, because like at the same time, this is another reason why I said Houston beat themselves, because even though Houston, they were shooting horribly from the 3-point line, I think Florida was around the same ballpark too. Like I think they weren't shooting that well from deep. So like Houston had opportunities, to get hot, get my guy Cryer the ball, let him work, because he was scoring really, really good. But it was just once again a case of, they just choked. That's basically the only way I can kind of break it down for you.
That's simple.
Yeah,
really, that's simple.
And you saw the last play, right?
They did the same thing Duke did with them.
That play made me so mad because I was like,
what play?
The last play of the game when Houston had the ball.
Oh yeah, and that was another thing too. Like this is something my boy KO was saying. Like, how y'all niggas got all these old heads on your roster and you don't even get a shot off in the national championship game?
But you know what
made me so mad, bro? I was like, really?
What makes me mad is I feel like, in a situation like that, a coach should already have a play.
Y'all should have worked on that a million times throughout the season.
It just seemed like they're like, all right, just throw the ball in bounds. If you can make the shot, just
for the season.
It just seemed poorly executed.
I think it didn't really sink in that we really just blew this lead right now. Like now we're the ones that's down. Like I don't think it really sank in for that last possession. They still probably thinking it's an overtime situation or something. Like, no, nigga, you're about to lose.
When the announcer said 5 seconds, I was like, yeah, this shit's about to run out. Because when the announcer has to talk, when the clock is winding down like that, you're holding the ball too long. And when he panicked, I was like, on the final stage.
Again, Jay, like I said, that's the nerves. That is the nerves.
But I just don't understand the nerves when you have Jay Will. What'd you say?
Nigga, have you ever been in a national championship game and have to shoot for a whole school in front of with millions of people watching? What you mean you don't understand the nerves? That's easy for us to say.
It was tough, man, because I was watching that shot and I watched,
I was so upset.
To the ground. Everybody just looking because people just kind of confused, what's going on? So the last second just ticks away. Nobody's running to the ball. They're just watching it dribble on, down to the court until the timer finally expires. And it was just Jesus Christ.
I mean, in general, just for basketball, that is, I think this is Michael Jordan that said it. That is the absolute worst thing that can happen is you don't even get the shot off. I'd rather airball the shot, miss the shot, whatever. To not get a shot off at all and have a 100% chance you're gonna miss, that's inexcusable. Especially for a game of that magnitude. It ain't like it's some regular season game. It's the national championship, bro. You survived 68 teams, bro. Just to come down to that moment and you don't even get a shot off. That's the absolute worst thing that can happen on the last possession.
But what's crazy is, once again, they shouldn't have even been in that situation to begin with, because they had.
That's fair as well.
Mm-hmm.
Now they had this game in the bag as well, just like Duke had with them. They had this game in the bag.
And Jay Will, that's what we were saying earlier when we were talking about Duke, but thought they were talking about Houston. Houston, to me, they've been national championship 7 times. And it's like 6 or 7 times. Yeah, and it's like AR getting to the NFC title game. He could never get over that hump. They get to the promised land, and then it's like the brass ring gets taken away.
Yeah, man, it's tough. Because I like Houston. They're a smaller school than, the typical, Giants. But it's just man, once again, opportunities right there. This is probably the best opportunity they've ever had, man. Go out and win a national championship, and they just blow it, man. That's tough. I feel, and in a sport like this, it's so hard. I feel to even win a national championship in general. It's rare that we.
It's worse. It's worse than football to me.
Yeah, college football, you can kind of base it down to maybe 5 teams at most. Sometimes.
No, I was saying even the NFL, because how they say it's harder because you got all the pressure of one game. You have so much more you have to go through in the March Madness tournament, and it's one game. You're playing back-to-back games for games of that magnitude. It's way worse to me. March Madness is probably can we have a conversation if that's the hardest to win?
It has to be, because
college look at basketball.
Because JC, look at it. It has to be, because look, round of 64, round of 32, Sweet 16.
Hold on. And that's after you needed to ball all season to begin with, where
Just to
every
get
game
there.
is so important because of ranking and all of that. And then you got 64 to 68 teams to deal with after all of that
100%. And just, it's,
in a
not to
2-week span.
not to cut you off, Dre, but it's also like, they find out who their team is or like who they have to play against like 3 to 4 days before they actually got to go fly out
Right.
and play. And then for the teams who do, win the first round of 64, they have to wait the next day to see who their next opponent is going to be. And then they only have like 24 hours at most to prepare for
Get
this.
your split together. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
Totally different play style.
it's hard. Yeah, because like 1 week you'll be like Alabama, they played a slow tempo team, so they didn't really have to worry about it. Next round, or a couple of days later, they're playing one of the fastest paced teams in the nation. So it's just, it's just one of those situations where it may be one of the toughest, if not the toughest,
Guys, there's 6 total rounds in the tournament. Despite going through a grueling regular season as it is.
And you got the tournament right before the tournament on top.
Oh yeah, the Maui like the Maui tournament or something, the invitationals and all that stuff.
There's championships. I mean, there's some teams, JC. I mean, they'll fight. Some teams not even a lot to make it to the playoffs. They'll fight. They'll win their conference championship, and then literally like an hour later, they're doing the March Madness show to see where they're seated at. Like, how tough that is, man.
That's
Now that I'm
brutal.
Ain't even hit the gym shower.
Right.
And now that I'm thinking about it now, seeing after seeing a few years ago, seeing UConn go back to back, and then seeing just how hard March Madness is overall, to go back to back, you got to feel that's got to be special as it is, because just to win one is just difficult.
For sure.
So for Florida to go out and do what they did, I mean that and they did it against. It was like they said, it's not like it was the championship was given to them. Each round they had to fight back.
Dr. Pepper is nasty work, by the way.
That's crazy.
I just want that to be said.
That's crazy.
But to give Isaiah's team some credit, I guess, coming into the season, I don't even know if Florida was like even ranked preseason wise. I may be wrong about that. I have to double check. But the couple of years prior, my freshman year at Ole Miss, Florida was one of the worst teams in the SEC. Like when I mean one of the worst, they weren't winning anything. They got their new coach, Tom Gruden, I believe that's how you pronounce his name, or Todd, excuse me. First season, I think he got like a 21 season, something like that. Second season, same thing. And then third season, I think people expected Florida to be good, just not this good, especially in an SEC where, mind you, we had 11, 12 teams make it to the tournament, whether you agree with it, that being a thing or not, it happened. And for them to go through the SEC, they win the conference championship, place as a 2 seed, and then make it through the NCAA tournament, once again, in the toughest conference, and then winning March Madness, that's hats off, because I don't think I would have not saw this coming. I really didn't have faith in Florida this year for the same reason why I didn't have faith in St. John's, only because I didn't think it was their time yet. I feel like this was...
You didn't have faith in 2 teams from 2 of our co-hosts. That's what you saying?
I told Mark...
two of our co-host teams is who you didn't have faith in.
I told Mark, St. John's is a great school. Just give it another year or 2, And that's kind of how I feel about Florida. But, of course, sadly, Florida proved it.
And it's funny, I can hear Isaiah right now when I bet you didn't, nigga. I bet you didn't.
Yep.
I can already.
Future for Clayton, man. Like, where do y'all see him? Where do y'all see him? I ain't even gonna say where y'all see him drafted at, but like,
where do you see potential?
What kind of player? Yeah, what kind of player comparison or whatever? Like, do you see him being in the NBA if he makes? Well, he'll make the NBA. Who do you see him? Like, what's his NBA player comparison?
I forgot. I'm always curious. Like when I look at scouts and stuff like that, I forgot. They compared this man, and this is not my comparison, but I believe it was on the NBA Combine website. They compared this man to Brian Forbes, I believe that's his name, on the Spurs, and I thought that was completely kind of nasty in my opinion.
Jay Will was like, "What the fuck is this?"
I'm not big on him as an NBA prospect, but that was kind of nasty. I believe he is projected to go around second round. I saw was the lowest around like the 41 spot, and then I've seen as high as like.
What
15.
about like a? This might be nasty to y'all too. But what about like a maybe Will Barton type? You know, like
honestly, that's not that far off.
This is a tough one because I can really only see him being like an average bench player in my opinion, and that's not even to knock him. That's just kind of how
Will Barton not an average bench player.
Like, JC, why you sound so sad?
No, I'm just saying, like, I'm trying to see, like, what are you saying about Barton or Clayton? Like,
I do feel like he's one of those guys who he's not a point guard. I feel like he's playing the wrong position. He's one of those guys who can kind of get streaky, but he can be kind of inconsistent from three until he gets that little spark.
That sounds like early Jamal Murray to me. A point
Turning
guard playing out of position, can get streaky.
He turns the ball over, Jay Will.
Not a traditional point.
I say, if anything, I say more of like a poor man's Jamal Murray. But I don't even know how like that. Because Clayton's also, he can be a little sloppy.
I said early Jamal Murray, to be fair. Like, early.
That's something I have to think about.
What you think, Jay? I like the comparison to Will Barton. That's why I said you weren't that wasn't that far off. Do you think he can be as good? Because Jay Will, you said you see him as a bench player, right?
Yeah.
Do you see him being like? And this again, not my comparison, but do you see him being almost like a Peyton Pritchard, where he doesn't have to crash the ship, just come in, do your part, and then.
I'm not gonna say like
Pritchard be diamond split though.
First of all, yeah, Pritchard is a great. I don't think he's
I love Peyton playoff P.
I don't think he's like a 6-man like of the year caliber bench player. I think like if he's in the right system, kind of like a Bruce Bowen with the Nuggets or something like that, he can be like a piece kind of like that. But I don't see him being like a a Peyton Pritchard, like a Jamal Crawford 6-man.
Yeah, I didn't go that far. Like I didn't. You notice I didn't bring up like a Lou or Jamal Crawford, nothing like that, because that's another territory.
I feel like my best comparison for him, and I feel like Isaiah. I don't know if Isaiah will agree with this. He kind of seems to me like.
This is your opinion.
Yeah, he reminds me of. You can even probably think about this too. He reminds me of Malik Beasley when he was in LA. In his early kind of, what was that, 2022? Where it was like Malik Beasley was one of those guys where he kind of underperformed, in my opinion, in LA. But like when he got hot, he was a shooter. That's kind of who Walter Clayton was, just kind of more undersized than him.
Gotcha. He's smaller than Beasley?
Usually like 6'4", 6'5", somewhere around there. Clayton, I have to see his height. I'm pretty sure he's like 6. Let me see. Let me not just say.
Yeah, I was about to say, I feel like he's pretty tall because I can't let those TV sets fool me.
Trust me, they be lying about their height and big. Well, he's 6'2", so I mean that's not that big of a drop off, but that's kind of who he.
That's gonna be his struggle of getting on the roster too. Is probably his height.
Yeah,
they got to find a way to fit him. Like, and I don't know if he does. I don't know if he has like that defensive tenacity like a Davion Mitchell or nothing like that. You know what I mean? To still kind of survive. Yeah.
I mean, like I said,
when you're that height, you have to have one thing that sticks out about you that we know that you're really good at that, and we're going to use you for that. If you don't have that at that height, you're probably not going to survive in the NBA.
But I feel like even like for any player coming out of college trying to make it to the NBA, you have to have one thing about your game that's considered that you can play at an elite level with, whether that's shooting, whether that's like perimeter defending, rebounding, something. You have that one element that you're elite at.
Rebounding, something.
Because that's what gets you and keeps you on a roster. They're like, shit, you may not be able to score.
Because everybody has to play their role. So teams would be willing to take a chance, especially the ones that are like contending for a championship. And they're like, oh, well, we just need to plug this in and now to help with that. Pause.
Because we got Steph Curry who can shoot fine. We got Steph Curry who can shoot. We got shooters. We just need you to play your, do your perimeter defense, and then, that's it. Nothing much.
Andre Roberson in OKC, where he was kind of.
Oh, that's nasty. That's
Oh.
nasty. Nah, Jay. Nah, Jay. Oh,
Hold on. Stay with me. Stay with me.
You foul for that.
I'm
You
not
are
saying they're the same
foul.
person. I'm not saying they're the same person. But you have to
Isaiah,
realize.
you heard
Nigga,
this,
Jay is
man.
a cold nigga.
Why are y'all disrespecting? Why are y'all disrespecting Roberson?
GA, you heard
Why
this,
are we
man.
Why are we disrespecting?
Oh
Look, like
my
I'm saying,
God.
hold on, let me make my take. Even though he was as bad as he was offensively, he was still a really, really good defensive player. That was just one thing that kind of kept him in the league for that long. Because without that man in China, if we talk,
Nigga, he was another plug-in. They always had a shooting guard that defended and did nothing else. That's the same shit as Cephalosha. He was a good defender and didn't do shit else.
That's what I'm saying. That those guys had that one element that kind of kept them around.
That is nasty work.
That is nasty. Nah, that was nasty. I ain't gonna lie. If I was playing, I would need hands right now. I ain't even gonna hold you.
I'm not comparing him, but I'm just saying he got that one element that kind of kept him around, And he was injury prone too, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
That nigga was a bum. Like, let's stop the books with that. He was a bum.
No disrespect.
He was a bum that could play defense.
A bum offensively.
He was a bum. That's why he was gone after not long. Now, Paige finally got her way. Unfortunately, it came at the demise of, I came in here talking crazy, talking about tomorrow's Paige last game.
She watched the show, bro.
She must have, man, because
they all did.
Not only did she whoop our butt, but she whooped everybody's tail, like that they played.
Yeah, man. It kind of felt like when I saw that they were playing South Carolina again, and I hate to say this, I kind of knew UConn was going to win it, only because back in January, these two teams actually met. UConn played at South Carolina and still beat them by like 25 points. That's at South Carolina. Seeing this matchup again, it was just one of those things where
it was a statement this time.
I don't think it was necessarily a skill issue or a talent issue, excuse me. I think Gino just kind of basically outcoached Don Staley this time around, both times around. Like, it just kind of seemed like that.
Chev don't like that statement. He'll be here Monday.
I just thought about that too. He gonna be like, "Hey, what the hell?"
And I was saying on Marv's No Big Deal podcast, and this may be a hot take, but I think Gino, UConn's coach, is the best basketball coach of all time. Period.
That's how he feels about Staley. That's funny you said that. Chev said the same exact thing about
That's crazy. I gotta have a conversation about that. That's a crazy.
Like I said, he'll be here Monday.
Please sign me up for that show.
Oh,
that's gonna be funny. But
if Paige doesn't win on UConn, is she still arched into their basketball history? Like, did she need this win to cement herself in that realm?
She was gonna be put in UConn history regardless, with or without that ring. I just feel like she needed that ring to really elevate her. And that's what, because like I said, she's already going in already, but the championship is like the icing on the cake. To me, that's the sizzle on top.
Yeah, to me, it's also, though, you have to take in consideration as many great women's players that UConn has been able to produce. The thing that they all have in common is they at least have one ring. You know, so if Paige would have came in there and not win anything, not saying that she wouldn't still be considered a UConn great, but it kind of would be, I feel like we would be slightly looked down upon because she wasn't able to win the ring as the Breanna Stewarts and, the other greats that came from that. But I think I have to lean with that. I don't know if she would be on that same stature as those other top girls in UConn history if she did not win that ring, especially since this is her 5th year there. I know she didn't play one because she tore her ACL, I believe, but 4 years, you got to at least win.
Man, speaking of that, bro, how much does it suck that we'll never get to see that Juju Paige March Madness?
Bro, that's crazy. And it's all due to injury.
It was supposed to happen this year, man.
Yeah, this was the year. This was the year. And Juju actually loaded up this time. You know what I'm saying? Versus last time she was, last year she was.
Hey, but one thing is, though, I will say, I believe I got this on the No Big Deal from Coach Fame. One thing about Juju is she is a strong-minded woman, so she's gonna come back better and stronger than ever from this injury. And I know I don't know her personally, but she just seems like a real strong-minded person that doesn't really. She might let it sit there for a little bit, but then she gets to that point like, all right, let's get back to work.
Yeah.
So I feel like next year is when I feel like next year is going to be like, oh shit, the team's going to be playing with a different confidence. She's going to be playing with a different confidence.
She's not playing next year, right? It'll be a year after.
Yeah.
Redshirt year or something like that. But you talking about the year after?
Yeah.
It sucks too, man, because like we haven't seen a lot of jujus in women's basketball, and it kind of seemed like this was like her chance to like really put herself on the map. Not like she's not already on it, but maybe get to win some hardware. Excuse me.
Already.
And it's just like at the worst time possible that injury happens in the first round, and I'm just like, man, I'm hoping she can 100% recover from this. Don't rush it back. Please do not rush back.
Yeah.
I want to see Juju, the same Juju we saw pre-ACL tear. I want to see the same one after, and that's a hard thing to do, but I just really hope she takes care of her body.
Yeah.
And, she was a big thing for, women's basketball this year. We didn't have the Caitlin Clark. We didn't have Angel Reese. We had Juju. And that's not saying anything bad about Juju, but I'm basically to say that as in, it kind of feels like this is her league right now. Her and Paige. Now with Paige, leaving.
Now Paige is gone. So
now it kind of feels like this is Juju's time where she's,
cement herself.
But I'm hoping she's still able to do that after next year. Prayers to her.
Absolutely.
She comes back. It's gonna be scary. It's gonna be scary.
Then we got the NBA breaking news. Mike Malone was fired yesterday, right before playoffs.
I mean, they've only been to the playoffs 6 years in a row, and it would have been 7 this year.
Only won a championship
less than 2 years ago. Not even that coach.
I mean, y'all keep saying that part like we didn't see Nick Nurse though. Like that has happened. Like
I know. I'm just saying it's just crazy that it's happening to the winning coaches, and these losing coaches are the ones
like most of the coaches we've been seeing. I'm not gonna say most of them, but a good amount of coaches we've been seeing in the last for sure 10 years. Like there's been teams that's been having winning records, getting third, fourth places or whatever. Like look at Bickerstaff. Like he wasn't losing. He was losing in the playoffs, but he changed that culture around and he just got fired. So we've seen that. My question is, why would you do this a week before the playoffs start?
Exactly.
I think Mike Malone's firing is tied for I think like the least amount of games left when a coach has been fired in the season.
You know how much turmoil that's going to bring in the locker rooms too?
Well, we don't. It could have already been turmoil.
I know. We don't know why. Like, this could have been something that
this had to be something past basketball for sure.
Yeah, like this is one of those problems where it's like, if you want to get rid of them, fine, but you wait till like after the season. You don't do it a few games.
And the nigga was probably finna lose in the playoffs anyway. At least make it look like, all right, well, he keep losing. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, you did it this way though.
He's sitting with home court advantage right now. It's a week left in the season, and you fire him right before the playoffs. Like,
something's got to be happening.
These owners really don't be knowing split about basketball, bro. Like, that's really all it is. And that's what I said in the chat. I said this is either some personal split that we don't know about, or he's being advised by casuals. Because I know most of the owners don't know basketball. Like, let's be for real. They this is their hobby. They had so much money that they had something to blow off on a sports team, and they don't know split about basketball.
So they make whatever fucking move they want to make, whether it's good or bad for the team.
Exactly.
And they're sitting up there.
Very rarely do they just give somebody blind trust and say, "Hey, you take care of that. I'll stay out of it," because they're the ones signing the checks. So hell yeah, I care about why or when or how.
That's just I just don't understand the move. Like, I texted my homie this or whatever. He was like, did he get like a DUI, like some type of
right?
I was looking around, like, because I'm thinking that too. Like, this, I couldn't really think of a reason why he would get fired. I'm looking around, I don't see.
But then apparently there was like turmoil with him and the GM.
But that's been going on.
And that's like it's not like they picked one because he fired both of them niggas. So I don't know what. I don't know.
Did you see what Isaiah put in the chat when Jokic is yelling at somebody?
No.
And they were like, "This, he got fired 4 days after this," and he was like, "This shit is getting wild." Bro, Jokic was
You
sitting
say
on
he was yelling at a coach, like
at a
staff?
teammate. No, at a teammate at a play, and even the announcer was like, he put it in the chat, and then even the announcer was like, "Oh, you could tell Jokic is frustrated."
But still, I don't know if that's.
Well, I don't know. Don't y'all be claiming he don't care about basketball like that? So I don't want to hear that shit. Y'all be claiming, oh, he don't care about basketball. He don't like basketball. He just do this on the off time. So, I mean,
you gotta realize this is the same sport that pays him to get those horses and all that.
Fair enough. That is fair enough.
This will be a very interesting off season. I feel like because this is just starting. This is starting before playoffs. I can only imagine how much the off season will kind of shake things up because this is kind of really surprising. First Taylor Jenkins, and then now.
Well, Taylor Jenkins, that should have been happening. Again, it's surprising because of the timing.
Yeah, that's
Taylor Jenkins probably should have got fired 4 or 5 years ago, in my opinion.
What's crazy is Ja Morant has been balling since he's been fired.
There we go. And who's to say Ja was happy? Like, Ja has been having probably his worst statistical season since his rookie year. You know what I mean? Which I understand he's coming back from injury and ramping back up, but
not even to talk about.
I've never liked Taylor Jenkins the way he ran spit. I'd seen him firsthand when
he was letting them.
Cousin was over there, and I was complaining then. So, I haven't been paying attention to him as much, but I know the results have been the same. And he's always had the same issue as far as not being able to lock down a rotation of look, these are my guys. This is what we running with. Let's roll. It seems like he acts like I don't even want to say a high school coach. He's damn near like a little league coach where everybody has to get a chance to play. That's not going to work, bro. Nobody wins like that.
And it's he's also always kind of, to me, feel like an underachiever. Like I said, after the All-Star break, went 8-12, didn't really do anything good. Had the 1 year in 2022 where the Grizzlies were a 2 seed. And even though I know the Lakers were a better team, I just still feel like, as the Grizzlies, as a coach.
We should not have dogged them the way we did, bro. Yeah, even if we won, it should not have been night and day. Oh my gosh, y'all shouldn't even be in the same room as the Lakers.
I feel like the Lakers were the 2 seed and the Grizzlies were
exactly. The way it looked, for sure.
Not only that, but there's just been so much controversy with the whole Josh situation. You got Desmond Bane and Aldama pushing each other on the bench, players not getting along. It just kind of seems like he kind of let that locker room loose. He had
and it's been, but that's the thing. It's been like that. That's been brewing. So, but then again, these owners don't be knowing shit about basketball. They be so detached and in their own world and focused on their other businesses that somebody probably brings them up to speed. Hey, this has been going on with your team, right? And then they're like, wait, what? Okay, fill me in on the details. Okay, this happened? Oh, we missed out on that player? Or we had this situation and this situation, and we haven't won the championship, but I'm paying this guy $200 million and this guy $150 million. All of that, when all that starts unraveling, somebody's losing their job.
Oh yeah, 100. That's funny that you said that. He said someone's, because it's so true. Once they start putting two and two together, wait a minute, why the hell do we still have him behind our bench? Why are we? So then that's crazy. That's a good way to put it.
Am I not hiring the coach to take care of shit like this? Why is our locker room in such shambles? I pay you what, 10 million, 12 million, whatever it is, to take care of shit like that. So what am I paying you for? And we're not winning on top of that.
Exactly.
And so you saw, I think, me and Jay Will were discussing it too yesterday. You saw what John Morant was fined for, right, JC?
Yeah, I think it's bullshit. But
that's what I was saying. That I was just gonna say, though, if it was the only reason they made it, the only reason it even became breaking news on my ESPN app is because of John. It's because it's John Morant and because of what he's done.
I was just about to say that too.
Yep.
This is becoming disgusting to me because I feel like it's not even just I can't even really blame the NBA. It's also the media. Media is anything he does that's remotely close to anything. It's they're blowing it up because it gets them more clicks. but then they're affecting his career at the same time. He's not doing anything differently than most other players in the NBA. Some of them are doing worse. Do not get me started. Niggas be banging on niggas in the NBA. Like, you know what I'm saying? And they don't catch the slip. But, like, I don't know, man. Like,
but because it's John, because of his past issues, they're gonna always
which he does have to take some responsibility.
Oh, absolutely.
For. But at this point, it's like, come on, bro. Like y'all, like Silver has to wisen up and understand what's happening too, and not try to be so reactionary. Yeah. But I get, there is this old quote where they say perception is reality.
Reality.
So at the end of the day, Silver cares about that bottom line, and he doesn't want it to look like Jai's just running loose. Still doing
his own thing.
Even if he's not, Silver is going off of the bottom line. That's is first and foremost before anything else. Especially because I'm sure them owners have been on his tail because he's been such a damn, what they call it, like a player's owner kind of thing. So he's probably trying to toughen up a little bit because of where he's allowed this league to get to at this point. But don't try to, overcompensate on Ja because of something that you effed up and a culture that you built.
Yeah, and like me and Jay Will said too. Jay Will, you brought up yesterday the simple fact of if it was anybody else, it wouldn't have been.
It wouldn't have been a story. It wouldn't be a story. I just seen something on TMZ like an hour ago. Ja throws a grenade or like. What the hell are y'all talking about, bro? Like
leave it alone. Like he's not.
Y'all know what y'all doing, bro.
He can't go out and he can't go outside his own damn house.
I'll be back in a few minutes.
But no, that's what I was saying. I wasn't saying, I think it is BS too. I was just saying if it was anybody else, it wouldn't have been an issue. But because it's who he is and what happened, that's why.
Yeah, and it gets clicks. So
clickbait. Yeah, exactly.
All right, let's look at this. These standings real quick.
Yours truly is 1 win away from 6-0 again.
So we currently have a 4-way tie between the 4th and the 8th seed, I believe, or 7th seed.
Got
the Clips. Wow, the Clips are the 4th seed now. I thought Denver had the tiebreaker, but Denver's lost like 3 of their last 10 as well. So. But what do you think about how this is shaping up?
I'm getting excited for postseason basketball. For me, postseason ball and hockey. But it's gonna get. I'm telling you right now, it's gonna get crazy for the NBA because not only are we gonna have to worry about games, but now we got to worry about some off-season stuff that'll potentially happen early. It's gonna be a lot going on this April, but I'm happy to see where all the teams are. I think I texted you a couple days ago. I still am, despite that loss to OKC, I am still like a little bit nervous, y'all, because
we just beat OKC too. So
yeah, you guys are.
Yeah, make sure you mention that part while you're trying to throw in that we lost to OKC. You just beat them too. Beat the dog spit out.
I think the first game you held them under 100 points. But yeah, no, it's gonna be. I'm telling you right now, the Final Four in the West, it's going to be
it's going to be
Lakers Thunder. It's going to be Lakers Thunder in the Western Conference Finals. And the problem is with the reason I'm like nervous when it comes now to the Lakers is because the simple fact that Luka and LeBron towards the end of this year were kind of getting rest. And come playoff time, you got Reeves who's clicking. You got the whole team clicking on all cylinders. And everyone said your main issue, including myself, was going to be defense. Mm-hmm. But you guys have actually done extremely well on that end.
And then the East is like, it's like normal. It's like it's so top heavy. And then everything else is just like underwhelming. Like, I don't even care for the East playoffs like that, bro, until maybe the second round. And that's still probably going to only be some of them. Like, and I don't know.
Houston, for me, and I love what the Rockets have done this season. And like I said, we said this already. For biggest thing right now between them is continuity between the Rockets. And that is translating into wins. I just feel like with the inexperience on the team, I think they'll be a one and done. But it's not saying.
So you think if they, is there anybody on that lower tier that you think can beat them?
Oof. Yeah, there has to.
So you got, it'll be out of like Denver, Golden State, Memphis, Minnesota, or the Clips. Like these are the teams. Like, do you see Houston losing to no matter who they play out of those teams?
Okay, yeah. So I'm glad you brought that up. So I'm not gonna. I don't see them beating a Warriors, a Lakers, or a Thunder. I can if they do get one. If they
the Lakers more than likely won't get lower than like maybe 5, maybe, and I think that's even reaching because I think as long as we beat Dallas and Portland, we can't get any lower than the 3 seed because we hold the tiebreaker over most of these teams. So Lakers probably won't be an option more than likely, unless we just completely split the bed the rest of the season.
Well, then that brings you to also. I definitely think they can they lose to Well, let me not say definitely. I don't want to sound disrespectful, but I think a 4-2 defeat against the Warriors.
If you take some of these teams and put them in the East, like their playoffs would be so much more fire. Like it's crazy, bro. Like it's all heat. Like all these teams like there's no team on the West I look at and I'm like, you are just a clear consensus favorite over everybody else. I don't look at any team like that. I mean, I know what OKC has done, but I still think they have a lot of youth.
Learning.
I do like the Hardenstein move that they got bigger. And obviously Shy's playing out of his mind, but I hope that, they haven't gotten so caught up. The same issue Embiid was having. Don't get so caught up in the MVP conversation that you forget the real task at hand. You know what I'm saying? So,
which is the championship.
I'm not like OKC has not convinced me that you guys are just clear cut over everybody else in the league. I don't see it.
Yeah, and
even with the 65 wins, congrats on that. But yeah,
damn. So because I might receive a little heat. My thing is too the way you feel about OKC is my feeling toward the Cleveland Cavaliers.
I knew your hating butt was gonna say that. You only saying that because you know what they're gonna do to y'all.
No,
that's the only reason you saying that.
No,
explain to me why you feel like that about Cleveland.
The reason is because we've seen them in the playoffs before, and we've seen what happened
with Bickerstaff.
No, I'm saying I've seen them in the playoffs a couple times, and I got to see them win.
Are you talking about last year when Donovan Mitchell got hurt?
Oh, here we go with it. It's not his fault that he got hurt, bro.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So, like, what are you basing it on? Donovan Mitchell got hurt. It's not like y'all seen them straight up. And they got a different coach. They've never gotten anywhere near this many wins with Bickerstaff.
No, I got to see them win in the playoffs now. And they still got to go through yours truly.
Man, I agree with that. But honestly, bro, if I'm Cleveland, I ain't worried about nobody but y'all. If I'm being completely honest, bro. I'm not worried about nobody but y'all on that Eastern Conference, bro.
I'm
feeling confident because we got hurt last year. We had a stagnant coach. We have a whole new culture now, but some of the same pieces, plus DeAndre Hunter. Like, yeah.
I just got to see that. I got to see them win now.
If I'm Boston, I would not just gloss over Cleveland. At all.
I just got to see them get them wins in.
Yeah, but I know where you coming from, though, bro. You hating right
But I'm not hating. That's not what's going on. I just know I got to see them perform in the postseason, let alone you also got to knock off.
That's fair enough, because Mitch has had his moments, but he's also had moments where he was tearing y'all niggas up, like last year, right before he got hurt.
Yeah, I remember that.
And now he has a better coach.
Him and Tyler Hero.
He has a better coach so far. The guys are getting older. Mobley's 1 year older now. You know what I'm saying? That's another, like, I guess, X factor. I don't even want to call him an X factor because I think he has the potential to be a true bona fide star in this league. But for some reason, that's being glossed over right now. So if he wakes up in the offs, you niggas are in trouble.
Jared Allen's another good
Jared Allen,
piece.
they got Twin Towers under there.
They have the pieces that can make them a championship contender. They got the bench as well. Like they said, they traded for DeAndre Hunter this before the All-Star break, and he's been balling. You know what I mean? So they got pieces.
I just mentioned him too when you was gone.
Mm-hmm.
This nigga over here talking about because I told him I don't look at OKC as like a consensus overall favorite in the West, and he's trying to say like, oh, that's how I feel about Cleveland.
I gotta see them win in the offs.
You gotta see. I mean,
don't even worry. You just sit tight, brother. Just sit tight.
It's gonna be Lakers Celtics. What you talking about? Celtics and 7.
Okay. I know we kind of talked about this last week, but like the Suns are officially eliminated from the playoffs.
Mm.
Is there any thoughts y'all have on that? And like, are they in like? And again, Monday we're gonna go over everything, but like, are they in complete hell? Like, is there anything they can even begin to do to kind of like salvage this in any kind of way?
They can trade that 7-foot lanky person over there, trade him somewhere, get some pieces. But
that sounds like it's doing the league that sounds like that's doing the league a favor, not them.
I mean, if I'm the Suns, I feel like the window is kind of closed now, honestly, to make it.
Yeah.
I feel like it's
they effed up. They took a gamble and they lost.
They took on who was it? Was it Bradley Beal?
Bradley Beal. And
they got rid of all them pieces from Mikal and Aiden and like the whole core that got them to the finals, when they got rid of that was the gamble. And you lost. Sometimes it happens. You go for the kill, it doesn't work. We just saw even the Browns just tried it. It didn't work. Let's move on. But they might be in the worst position in Cleveland. I ain't gonna lie to you. Like, Phoenix they are in spit. Because not only did it's the fact, and I still to this day cannot understand for the life of me how Bradley Beal's agent was able to negotiate a no-trade clause. Like, who the F is this nigga supposed to be? I'm still trying to figure that one out. How are you the only player in the NBA out of everybody, and you get a no-trade clause? Like, who the F you supposed to be?
Exactly.
So you traded for a $200 million guy with a no-trade clause who's practically unplayable sometimes with y'all. Booker's the homegrown guy, so I know you want to be careful and try to hold on to him as long as possible, but he's going to get frustrated because of his competitiveness. And you traded a lot of your assets to get this guy in the first place. So
KD for sure won't want to stay any longer if this shit keeps going the way it's going.
I think he's kind of...
He's probably already checked out. He just didn't want to go to Golden State.
Oh, yeah.
I think he's already checked out.
He's
the only piece of competency they had this year, to be real.
Literally, every time I look at his stats, it's always like 25 and... poor guy.
Man, it was just like, it was crazy because Book was playing well, but that team just did not seem motivated at all.
Yeah. And Bradley Beal, thank you. So, like JC said, sometimes it doesn't work, but...
And I got a Phoenix fan that I just finished arguing with, so this is his shout out right here, my big homie Sam. And we kind of just had an argument, a full blown argument for probably like 30 minutes, because he just feels like it's the coach, our coach. I'm like, bro, how many coaches have y'all niggas ran through in the last 4 or 5 years? What about all these moves that have made? Like, Dre, what have I been preaching about since last season? These damn GMs. Yeah. Why do they keep getting off the hood? James Jones has done a piss poor, abysmal job with how this roster is constructed up to this point right now. If anybody needs to go first, it's that nigga. Yeah. You've had plenty of time to get this bit together. And y'all made the finals, and you completely fumbled it, bro. It is time. It is time, brother. That I feel like is a true, at least somewhat start to get them out of this hellhole that they're in. And then we can start talking about the other shit. But James Jones got to go. For sure. Like, minimum.
JC, and I feel like I agree with you because I feel like every year Suns fans will try to say it's something different. Remember, like last year, it was like, oh, we don't have a true point guard. That's the reason why.
You got one.
but they haven't really done anything crazy this year, and you in a worse situation now than I think
you were last year. Yep, they are.
Like how many times are we going to keep pointing the blames at people until we finally find the right person?
And the only person who's just sat unscathed through all this with
is the
James
GM.
Jones.
I mean, I ain't heard.
Remember when the Knicks were calling? Remember when they were calling for Dolan? It should be the same for him.
Yeah, but this is actually realistic because he ain't no effing owner.
And it's just
and
crazy.
I understand you need to give GMs times, but he has put them in a impossible.
He's put him into the abyss
to get out of. So it's like, God bless your soul on whoever gets that job next. But that's where I think it needs to start. Get that GM up out of there.
And it's funny too because it just seems like he just does not care either.
I mean, why would they? Like I said, GMs are always the last. You know what I mean? Like they get so much breathing room. Which again, I do agree that they deserve some, but at a certain point,
it's like
if you're like Jay Will just said, if you're trying all these different things, you went and got the point guard. You done fired 2-3 different coaches. You done tried to get younger. You tried to go for the big three superstars. You done everything. You traded a boatload for KD and Bradley Beal. You know what I mean? Like you done all of these things, and yet you probably have the worst situation in the NBA, in my opinion. Based on the context, you might have the worst situation in all of the NBA right now.
How do you even turn that around, man? Like that's
what I'm saying. So that's where it has to start. We always hear the term when somebody wins a championship, it starts from the top. You know what I'm saying? And that's where we are. Now, I don't know if they have the same owner, but I know there was some stuff about their owner being a garbage person. So maybe that's what we're looking at. Maybe that's what they're looking at. It truly does start from the top.
And that's the funny thing though, like someone needs to clean house, but when they do start cleaning house, like you said, it needs to start at that spot, and GMs need to be held accountable at some point too. You just named 4 things that he had tried and none worked. It's stuff like that and that's just a start of the list.
If I really sat down and put everything together, like it's
that's what I'm saying. If there's more than one, if you can write down on a piece of paper more than 5 things that haven't gone right, that's when you should start and be like, okay.
Mikal Bridges, for one, should have never walked out that building.
Yeah,
that was the biggest. That was that whole situation, Monty.
And then it's funny, before the Tyus Jones thing, you remember they used to, who they put the blame on? They put the blame on Aiden. And they was in here acting like he was the big problem in Phoenix.
Aiden was inconsistent, but I don't think he was the biggest problem. There was other things that needed to be addressed.
He was not the number one.
No, not even close. Not even close.
He wasn't.
They made the finals with him. Yep. I mean, what are we talking about? You made the finals.
It just feels like once again they need to redo that entire franchise from like top.
And that's crazy.
That nigga didn't even say the team; he said the franchise.
And that's crazy because, you got to realize too, because now they literally, the reason J. Will says that, because they literally have to start from fucking scratch. It's not just the players that need to be moved. They need to look at GMs. They need to look at the front office. They need to restructure the entire thing. It's just the entire operation.
Like JC said too, it's like now you're in a situation where it's like, okay, KD, possibility that he's going to be gone next year. You can't get rid of Bradley Beal because of the no trade clause, and he's only making a bunch of money.
How long is he there for?
So you'd have to do something as idiotic as a buyout. That's probably your only option if he doesn't accept helping you guys out.
At the same time, and like you said about Devin Booker, I don't think Devin Booker wants to go back to his young Phoenix Suns days when they were going 20 and something like that. So then you will also have to look at a situation where Devin Booker may not want to come back to Phoenix in a year or two as well.
Because he's too competitive.
Does he have a contract coming up?
I'm not sure. I don't think he does.
Let me see.
I haven't heard about him getting paid in
I'll check right
he
now.
might have a free agency class coming up.
His contract runs to 2027. He's on a Supermax extension.
So that's and we're in 5. So 5, 6, 6, 7. So that's a couple of years.
Unrestricted in 2027.
Yeah, you got a couple of years, so 2 more years.
So, I mean...
So, depending on how you handle stuff, honestly, this is probably their most important summer to get that started by that time. He's not going to sign an extension next summer, but what you can do is probably try to show some type of plan going into 2027 to where you can convince him as an unrestricted free agent to come home.
Yeah. KO, I'm praying for you watching this, man. I know it's tough being a Suns.
So I know y'all have seen all the talks about Shaq and all of that, with how he kind of went on a rant about the current shape of today's league.
The era.
I'm asking you two personally. In his prime, where does Shaq fare in today's league?
Are you talking about like his comments with like Jokic and Wemby? Talking about what he said about that?
And saying Ben Simmons, Rob, I'm sure everybody agrees with that part, but just in general, look, saying Chet and Wemby would quit. They played like.
It depends on the era, because like if we're talking about like in the more 90s, 2000, where you could be a little bit more physical and get away with certain things. I mean, I could see Shaq dominating them, but in an era today where it's like you can get foul called on a lot of stuff, so I don't think Shaq will be able to get away with it. Where in a league you have to be kind of more skilled than kind of relying on forcing your way inside the paint, getting buckets in that mannerism. So I don't really know. It just.
But what is the difference though? Because what is it that Shaq wouldn't be able to do that he did back then?
Yeah, I mean, these guys, you gotta realize these bigs are more skilled and athletic. Obviously they're not bigger because we have really, bigs. They're not really, at least some bigs are not really as muscular, as big, as framed.
But they're shooting threes and mid-range attempts, and
But even without the threes, what is it that Shaq couldn't do today that he was doing in 2000?
I just don't think he'll be able to
throws
the refs.
That he'd be able to what?
I don't think he'd be able to dominate the way he wants to because of how
the West is structured.
I wouldn't even say wait. What are we asking?
I'm asking you pretty much like as far as his game, what is it about his game that he wouldn't be able to do in today's league right now that he was able to do in his prime when he was on the Lakers?
I mean, I still think he'd be able to dominate. I don't think it'd be any much, the only thing I would be necessarily scared for him for is because the pace of the game from the early 2000s is extreme.
Being winded.
Yeah.
That's like the only thing I can stop him, honestly. He should still be able to be kind of similar to prime Shaq, being able to kind of dominate against other bigs, of course. But it's really interesting because, like Dre said, bigs these days are, some of them shoot threes. So, like, if you're Shaq, it kind of makes me want to think about how would he be able to defend something.
You got to evolve.
Like he had to be a really good perimeter defensive.
I feel like there's coaches that can draw up a defensive scheme that can kind of hide Shaq in that way. Because there's plenty of players who ain't got no business in certain spots or areas on the defensive side, and they're still able to thrive. So I don't think it would be as big of a problem as y'all think it would be.
I don't necessarily think it's a problem. That's just the only negative I could really see out of it.
Because outside, I think he dominates in any era, honestly.
Peak Shaq is one of those.
Do you
guys,
think he would make Chet and Wemby quit, like you said?
It depends. I don't think it depends what you mean by quit.
Like I can't deal with this nigga.
I don't think they would necessarily quit, but I don't think they'd be able to handle him at all.
Yeah, but they're not going to just give up on it like, I can't. They're going to keep giving it their all no matter what.
I mean, the centers he played didn't technically quit. It's kind of like a figure of speech. Like,
yeah, I get
that's what I was asking. Like, what did you
mentally check out? Like, bro, I can't do nothing with this nigga. That's why they made the rule. I think what is it? The double team or zone? I forgot. He had a rule that they made because of him. Like, I think maybe zone. I think they allowed zone because of Shaq.
I think he had some rule about his free throw because teams would like purposely foul.
That was
Shaq.
a hacker shot.
Yeah,
bro could not.
But they didn't change that because of Shaq. They changed that when DeAndre Jordan kept getting hit with it, like way later on.
how bad
But
he was.
Shaq didn't get it changed. Shaq was just like very vocal that I think he said like he thought it was like a coward move or something like that.
Yeah.
And because Popovich was the one who started it. If people don't remember, Popovich started hacking Shaq.
At the end of the day, though, like I don't think really how many people can really stop peak Shaq. Like peak Shaq is probably one of the most, if not the most dominant player of all time.
I think people, and that's why I'm bringing this up because I think people like are mad that Shaq is talking spit to where they're forgetting what prime Shaq was really like.
He was
like,
a freaking monster.
There's nobody in NBA history that could do spit with Shaq. Even if people want to try to bring up the dream, go look at Shaq's numbers in that series, bro. Like Hakeem was having his way, but so was Shaq. And that was a young Shaq, by the way. That was what Shaq was like 2-3 years in the league when that happened, when they went to the finals.
What was that
95.
That's his second year.
It's 3. When did you get drafted? 93?
I thought it was.
Yeah, he was with Orlando.
No, he got drafted. I think it was 93. I think Penny got drafted 94.
But either way, that's still.
Yeah, he was a baby.
But
Hakeem was like 14, 15 years in.
And one thing too is Shaq, man. That man was dunking the ball hard enough to break the rim, shatter glass. Like people don't understand.
I just want to, and this is the point of this platform. Like, let's slow down, young gentlemen. Let's remember the F we're talking about. Yeah, Shaq is deemed as the most dominant player of all time for a reason. Let's calm down. You might not like what he's saying about these players and how he's not giving it up enough. That does not change who he was in his prime and in his peak. Shaq was a literal monster that you couldn't do spit with.
Exactly. Just sometimes I just wish he just stopped talking in that mic because he just be.
Everybody don't need a mic.
But you can't just. People are trying to go behind Shaq like he wasn't that dude at one point in time.
Jay, well, be devil's advocate for a second. Where do you think Shaq is coming from, or do you think he's just a hater?
I don't know because it's not like we don't give Shaq the credit he deserves when we talking about big man. You know, I feel like outside of Kareem.
You know what, Jay? I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but I think I just got it because he did mention this a few times. The money these niggas is getting. Why is Rudy Gobert getting the Supermax?
Yeah, why? Is someone explain?
I think it's spent like that. I think I got it.
Yeah, explain. Someone's got to explain that Supermax to me because even I'm still confused.
But JC, it feel like he's always had a thing against bigs in this era. Like you remember, what was it last year, the year before? When Jokic won the MVP, like he was talking on the mic to Jokic, he was like, "Well, that's really Shea's MVP or whatever." And I was just kind of like, "Why? Like, why are you?"
I thought so too, though. I don't think that's hate.
That's fine, but like to say that after he wins the MVP post game to him, that's kind of.
Oh, he said it to him.
I think wasn't he like on the mic, like on NBA and TNT, and he said it to him.
If he said it to him, that's nasty. But I thought he just said it.
But it just seems like he has, and it may be the money, but he definitely has something against bigs in this.
Maybe because of like, I don't know. Maybe like that style of play, maybe, and they're being called dominant centers when he like really was like
when he was
walking you down a real post player, and maybe he doesn't feel like they are true post player, and that's why he probably loves Embiid so much because Embiid gives you that old school feeling, walk him down, pivot footwork, David Robinson, Hakeem, Pat kind of feel. And we really don't, if you think about it, we don't really have those today. And don't get me wrong, like, Gerbikic is elite in the post.
But he can play shoot.
He's elite down there. But he's not very, like, as technical as Embiid or a Dream. He's kind of just like, I'm going to get my shot off somehow. I'm going to play physical. That's why he be all bruised up and spit. You know what I'm saying? And he can take as much as he, puts out. And I think it doesn't, I don't know, it just doesn't look the same. Like you even heard Ragu, the OG who comes on here. You even heard him say, like, when I bring up, Gerbikic having 30 and 15 in the finals, just like Shaq did. And he's like, yeah, but Shaq's 30 and 15 is different. Like,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I think it's like that kind of thing.
And two, also with that is like Shaq is Man, when his 30 and 15 compared to to today's 30 and 15, I think I get like I
mean,
understand.
nobody's averaging 30 and 15 anyway. But.
No, I'm just saying, but like that is Shaq was just built different, man. He was a locomotive. He could not be stopped.
Yeah. But hey, I mean, one day players y'all are growing up on are gonna get old. They might be doing the same kind of spit to the generation under them for their own reason. So I think it's just like a thing that goes on in.
That could be a good reason because, like I said, like there's some guys who like they'll retire from the game, and it feels like they have nothing really good to say about the current generation of basketball.
Yeah,
like there's some guys. I think was it Dr. J? Like one of them don't even have people like LeBron James top 10 of all time, and their top 10 is just like guys from like the 60s and 70s era.
See, and that's the thing. I feel like okay, that's Dr. J's top 10, right? I do feel like the younger generations are very disrespectful to those guys because they have an opinion of what their top 10 is. They're going off of what they came up with. You know what I'm saying? Just like young niggas now. How many 60s and 70s players do they have in their top 10? Probably none because they consider their era to be trash. So it goes both ways. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Listen, I was about to say, it kind of goes both ways because as much as you can say that the younger players, I'll be honest with you, some of us do disrespect the guys, before us.
And I'm one of them. I'm guilty of it as well. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I'm not saying I'm exempt. I'm just saying where I think the disdain comes from overall.
Mm-hmm.
What's also funny, I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dre, because I know you branch out to like hockey, baseball, and all these other different types of sports. This seems to be a major issue in basketball to me.
It does feel like you'll get some things here and there for hockey, baseball, and football, but like I feel like NBA is like
I think it's because like Jay Will is right, but I think it's because a lot of our discourse regards player comparison. This guy and this guy. Oh, he's better than this guy, or damn, like we've never seen anything like this. And it's like, what do you mean? Like we got this player, and like a lot of our discourse, or even like when these media shows, have their takes and stuff, it's usually based on this player versus this player. And I don't think, from what I've seen, other sports do that as much as basketball. So these players really start old school and new, start really getting in their feelings, take it for personal, and then it just causes them to have a certain disdain for a certain,
group of people, and then it forces you to pick sides.
Exactly, and that's the thing. Exactly, Joe. You hit it right on the head. Like I think it's because like they make it to where it's like you have to be on one side or the other instead of just appreciating it all. Like in the debate discourse, don't get me wrong, like I have no issue with it. That's just black men in general. We're very competitive. That's just how we move, and men in general is competitive. So everybody wants to be number one. Everybody, but it does seem like it happens more
in the NBA.
In NBA culture. Even though you do get like the one-offs, like y'all seen what Eric Dickerson did to Saquon. So it happens sometimes, but NBA, it seems like it happens just far more often than not.
And it really is just mainly the NBA too. That's the unfortunate. That's the sad part. I'm like, man, I read a tweet the other day on X, and it said, I can only have LeBron. I can only have NBA GOAT talks with my homies. Can't have it with no one else outside of that because it just gets too heated. Or any debate
I ain't
in
never
general.
been scared of no smoke. But
or even just any debate for basketball. It's never.
It does seem like basketball. Yeah, basketball debates do seem like it gets like the most.
It's never
personal,
open shut.
Like
he said the most. Man, 2K gets personal.
It feels like it's also repetitive as well. Like I feel like, especially on social media, I see the same MJ Bron.
Same exact discourses, yeah.
It gets so tiring to the point. It's like,
and back in the day, it was always the Kobe and Bron, and then it was the Kobe and Jordan, and it was always like that.
Direct. To talk about it, y'all choose to talk about these guys all the time. It just gets very. It's a tiring debate.
And then it's like some people, I feel like they don't even enjoy basketball because literally everything you see or intake or stat you see, it all stems and builds around a specific narrative you have that eventually comes back to the original Jordan or Bron or, greatest center ever or point guard ever, whatever it may be. Like everything is, I guess catered to that one narrative that you truly have in your mind. So it's like, damn, are you even enjoying basketball at this point? Like you're watching a game and you're saying like, see, this is why so-and-so is, not the most clutch player or their biggest choker. Or they're like every time playoffs and everything. It's like, damn, when did you actually enjoy watching basketball, bro?
Exactly. It's like people just watch certain guys just to see their own downfall. Like if LeBron has a bad game, first thing you're going to see is, this is why MJ would never do this,
exactly.
and this. This is like, why are you like, why are you watching the game of basketball if your main goal is to hate on the game itself?
Exactly. And again, like I do a healthy level of it. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'll pop my spit too. But if you notice, like even with this show, bro, how many times have you seen the Bron and Jordan debate? Very rarely. You know what I'm saying? Like to me, that's lazy media work. You know what I'm saying? That's easy. We could sit up here for a whole 3 hours and debate that if we wanted to. Literally. If we really wanted to. You know what I'm saying? And I know that it's a topic that I know is probably going to come up anyway with how much NBA discourse we have. It's going to come up anyway. So I don't ever have to put that. I've never put that in my notes. Not one time. We're about to be on 150 episodes. Not one time have I ever put in my notes Jordan or LeBron.
Yeah.
But we've had that conversation probably 4 or 5 times at least. And I still, try to keep it to a minimum when it does come up. So yeah, it's I think the media has a healthy level of responsibility too when it comes to that of why, it causes the players to feel away on both sides.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, it even got to a point for me where I even had to unfollow one of the posts because you see it every morning. You wake up, you open the Instagram app.
Oh, and don't be in one of them NBA groups. It's even worse.
I heard those NBA groups be making people want to cry.
Man.
They're worse, I heard.
I don't even respect basketball. It's crazy.
Who would y'all say, team-wise, who would y'all say was the biggest disappointment this season in the NBA?
This season, well, no, because they're always disappointing to me. I was going to say Washington, but they always disappoint.
I would say Philly for me. Honestly, as far as the expectations coming into the season and what's transpired, I would say Philly.
Yeah, but it's really unfortunate because, like they've had to deal with the Joel Embiid injury. Obviously, once
that
Joel
nigga always hurt. Let's stop the bullshit, Jay. Now I gotta be like Isaiah. That nigga always hurt.
That's what I'm saying. You're saying disappointing. It's like
amazing.
Like I feel like knowing how Joel has been over the years, is that really
okay? Let me explain my side of why I think it's still disappointing. Because I thought that at least a Maxey and Paul George can hold spit down until he gets right. And I didn't think he was still going to be hurt enough to where he only plays like 10, 15 games. You know what I'm saying? So that's why it's disappointing to me. I thought now there's somebody to help leverage to where it's not just Maxey by itself, because Maxey by itself is not good enough to carry your franchise to the playoffs. We've seen that. So that's more so where I was coming from with that of like, disappointing, because I thought that they had enough, even without Embiid, they had a good enough constructed roster to at least get a playoff spot or play in the Eastern Conference.
They at the bottom of the East too.
They're one of the worst teams in the league this year.
They have over what, 50 plus losses this year?
I think so.
If I'm not mistaken. I think they knock it on 60, Dre.
Oh my God!
Is there anybody else y'all can think of though, other than him?
I mean, could we call the
Suns? Can't really say Memphis.
Suns, even though I don't think a lot of people have.
Yeah, I don't think people. I mean, people. Okay, well, in a way, yeah, because people may have not seen them maybe winning it all or nothing like that, but people thought they would at least be in the mix and then probably just lose first, second round. I don't think anybody saw this.
Yeah.
Especially after everybody kept saying, "Oh, they need a point guard. They need a point guard," and then they went and got one,
and look what happened.
Yeah, they're one of the worst teams in the West.
Also, if you remember, JC, I was actually one of those people who was excited about Bradley Beal. So thank you for making me look bad.
I literally on that episode said that I was not fazed by that trade. I said it in front of a Phoenix Suns fan on this show. When I got asked about it, I said, I'm not really fazed by this trade. Like, it didn't move me at all. I don't think there was any power shift, anything. And that same season, they got swept in the first round. So
I just wish you would have helped. I just wish you would have helped me, a little bit more.
I tried. Y'all niggas didn't listen.
Okay, but what about the Mavericks, though? Because the season they've had.
Nah, I'm not going to call them disappointed. Because they were on the pace to do what they always do. It's just they had a NBA catastrophe happen.
That's disappointing.
They said, "Here, let's just trade Luka Doncic to the Lakers. Let's help them."
Yeah, that's not. I don't think. I mean, it was disappointing. I mean, and then Luka got hurt too. Like, remember that he was out for like a month or two.
He did.
So
I mean, they could have still done a little something in the playoff. You know what I mean? Like now, it's just like nobody's really.
I mean, they're in the play-in, so they have a chance to still make it.
But remember, this is the same Mavericks team that made it to the finals last year. They should not be a 10 seed. I know all the hoopla about Luka and whatever. I understand it, but it's still very disappointing to see.
Okay, I get where you're coming from. Yeah, it's just the overall result is
it's like it's almost looking like
we went from the finals to a borderline playing team who doesn't have a franchise guy anymore. Yeah. Okay.
Well, also
that's
too,
definitely disappointing.
And what's funny too is they're also probably, instead of playing games, their minds are more so probably on what's Kyrie at some point gonna do. We just lost Luka.
I mean, you the one that made this short-sighted trade that was good for temporarily, but terrible for the future. So you put yourself in that position where now you're banking on two injury-prone, very talented 30-year-olds to take you to the promised land.
And one of them coming off of a bad little ACL injury. So it's just...
Yep.
I still don't understand that trade, man.
Jay Will, we don't have time, bro. We don't have time, bro.
And what I would like to say, though, too, I want to jump over to another team. Minnesota, y'all got to help this man.
I would say, you know what, that's a good one, Jay. They can be in that conversation. They was just the number one seed last year.
Because if you watch any of their games this year, bro, whenever they get on these damn runs, bro, AE's got most of those points. If they're on like a 12-0 run, he's got 8 of them. It's like y'all are expecting.
But I ain't gonna lie, AE be having his moments too, where he be bull spitting out there and not, I done seen some games where he got carried. Like,
I don't know though, because like at the same time, I got to see how they finish out the season, because technically they can still get to that 3 spot. Will it happen? I don't know, but I got to see how the season ends before I call them a disappointment necessarily.
Well, I mean, yeah, just up to this point.
Yeah, I don't know. I have to see a little bit more.
So I got one NFL topic before we get up out of here. Y'all might hate me for it, but I'm gonna ask anyway, especially because I'm kind of putting y'all on the spot. Hold on 1 second. Let me pull something up.
Yeah, man, I don't know. I got faith.
Okay. I need y'all top 5 NFL draft picks right now.
We're
in this year's draft.
Just your top 5 picks. We're doing the draft. I'm gonna give you the top 5 picks, the team, and you tell me who you're taking if you're this team. So the number 1 overall pick is the Tennessee Titans. Who is y'all pick?
For the Tennessee, and they for sure need to keep.
To me,
if I'm Tennessee, bro. Oh, go ahead, J-Will.
To me, it's not a question about position. It's a question about which one.
Okay.
I like both quarterbacks.
So there's no possible way, if you're Tennessee, you're not taking a quarterback?
No,
I feel like that's the first person they're gonna go after.
I feel like if you're Tennessee, that you have the number one pick, you have to make a move now. And I feel like this is your opportunity to land a franchise quarterback, hopefully, between one of these two guys. I feel like I've been back and forth on which one necessarily is the better quarterback per se, because both quarterbacks are really, really elite between Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders. But I like Shedeur.
Are they getting drafted in the right draft?
What do you mean?
Like, do you feel like they're in an underwhelming quarterback draft, or do you feel like they're where they're supposed to be? Like, they're just really them niggas like that.
I feel like it's both, honestly, because like outside this draft, people talk about Jackson Dart. I'm not and this is coming from an Ole Miss fan. I'm not buying into the Jackson Dart hype.
How they trying to pump him up right now on the low?
I always quarterback every year. They
like, nope.
Up, I feel like that's what Jackson Dart is this year. And I'm sorry for my Ole Miss fans that's watching, but that's just kind of how I feel about him. I think I would
first Judkins, now Dart. Damn, Jay, kind of.
You know how he's Dart's a college player, but in the NFL, you can't run those RPOs all day and rely on that running game. You got to do something. But I think Shedeur. I think if I'm the Titans, I think I would go Shedeur number one.
I feel like they're gonna. If I don't know, I'm low key. Damn, between him and Cam, I'm taking Cam Ward.
Number one pick, Tennessee. You're going Cam.
I'm going Cam.
Let the record show.
Yep.
All right, number two, we got the Cleveland Browns.
Ooh, thank you, because I've been preparing for the draft, so I got them. I already have a list.
What we doing for number two?
I'm flopping the other way. I feel like Cam Ward. I feel like if you're the Browns, looking at your quarterback situation, Deshaun Watson, coming off of
he's not playing this year.
Not playing. I don't even know who their backup is, to tell you the truth.
I think they signed Wentz. Maybe I don't remember. Let me not get to the line. I think it was
that franchise needs something, and I feel like Cam Ward can give them a little hope.
Or it was one of these backups. It was like Wentz or Pickett or
I think it was Pickett actually.
Yeah, it was one of them.
But yeah, I feel like if you're the Browns, it's time to go ahead and get over the Deshaun Watson era. It's over. Let's just be honest.
Yeah. Again, like I said earlier, you gambled, it didn't work. Move on.
It's cool.
You tried.
It's easier to move on now than being like, oh wait, maybe we can make this work. It's kind of just easier just to go ahead and close the door and try to open up another one. I feel like Cam Ward was a great quarterback in college. He's got the skill. He has the potential, I feel like, to be a top 5, top 10 quarterback, in my opinion. That's how high I'm on. Not only for him, but him and that's how high I feel on.
We haven't even seen him playing between the lines yet.
That's potential. That's the ceiling,
Yeah, I know. I'm still like, you don't give praise out like that easily. So
yeah, that was.
That's still shocking to hear you say.
And it's funny because JC, coming into the season, I was not a Cam Ward guy at all. I'm not going to hold you. I was a hater because he went to Miami. I'm not.
So if you feel like that, then why don't you have him as the number one pick?
I feel the same way about Shedeur.
Okay, fair enough.
Their ceilings can be really, really high, especially Shedeur's.
Dre, are you the same way? Are you flipped? Do you have it flipped, or do you have somebody else at the number 2 spot?
At the number 2, I'm actually going to go with for the number 2, I'm taking a receiver, honestly, because I feel like they'll grab a quarterback at some point. And if they do grab a receiver, it'll be Matthew Golden out of Texas.
Wait, we talking about the Browns?
The Browns.
I
feel like I really believe.
How much of a reach do you think that is, Jay?
Let me get somebody fired.
I feel like
damn,
that's crazy. I really believe.
Damn, that nigga said somebody get fired. You don't really receive receivers go
that early,
that high typically, unless it's like
has there ever been a receiver?
Generational kind of prospect, like.
I don't know, man. I just feel like the Browns
Malik and Marvin, I think they were both top 5 last year.
I just feel like they're... My bad, Jay. Well, go ahead.
I was about to say, now, if you're just saying, like, you feel like instead of getting a quarterback this year, that
trade back
offense, or something like that, even trade back, then I would agree with you. But I don't think necessarily that they would just go out and just be like, forget about Cam Moore. Forget about if we do want to Forget about McMillan. Forget about
Where
Ashton as the running
where
back
do
one.
you think he gets picked?
Golden.
Yeah.
I feel like he may be like a late first, early second type guy. Only because, and this is my personal opinion, I'm not even high on Golden in general. I know a lot of people like are. I don't really like the hype around his name. My
Yeah.
favorite wide receiver in this draft is the kid from Ohio State, the Emeka kid.
Emeka Buka.
Yeah, but I just don't see the Browns going wide receiver. And even if they do, I feel like they'd be much more safer taking the McMillan kid outside of Golden. I'd be really, really shocked and flabbergasted to see him go
And
anywhere.
the reason I had chose him was strictly off of just because yeah, guys that have been receivers for the Browns, whether they were good or bad, this is a guy who's a great route runner. He creates separation, excellent yards after catch, and he makes defenders miss in space. I feel like that's where he would fit in with that system. And I also feel like the Browns, for some strange reason, are going to do some crazy stuff and test out this whole Watson thing, even though we've seen it again.
They be the losers of the draft if they try to.
Like you said, they'd be better off drafting back if they take him.
Yeah, I'm about to say, like, if you're going to get Golden, you trade back for him. You don't just reach for him at 2. You could probably trade all the way back to maybe, like, still be a top 15 pick.
So I'm looking, and he's projected to be in, like, that 10 to 20 range.
Tate?
Yeah. Yeah, Golden out of Texas.
I still think that's even high for him. Like, he's another one of those. We'll see. I'm not saying he can't be good. I'm just saying I wouldn't reach for him that high.
All right, Giants. Who you taking, Jay?
This is I've been thinking about this. Oh, wow.
They need a cornerback. They need.
I feel like if I'm the Giants, man. If I'm the Giants, well, first off, if it was up to me, I would probably trade back a couple spots. But if they are just like stuck at 3, they got to take somebody. I feel like the best thing to do was to probably try to go ahead and get McMillan, in my opinion. Go ahead and get somebody right next to Neighbors, only so when you're finally ready to get that quarterback, whether you sign somebody or you trade for somebody, or even if it takes a year and you wait to the next draft, at least you have an offense that he's ready for. You don't just throw a quarterback in the fire. Yeah. That's how I personally feel about it.
But it seems like with the quarterbacks they signed, they're not even going to be in a position to get that kind of quarterback.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like they kind of lucked out getting that 3 spot and being behind the Browns and the Titans, because then it'll be like, okay, yeah, 100% you go get a quarterback. But now it's looking like they may have to wait another year to try to go in.
Unless the Browns or Titans shock us and don't feel like those are the,
Yeah, now if they do shock us, then yeah. But other than that, I feel like if I'm the Giants, I just get another piece on that offense to kind of try to help out. Whether that's a tackle, whether that's a wide receiver. If you get a tackle, I think they should still trade back a couple of spots. You can maybe get like a Will Campbell type guy, something like that. But if not, then I feel like you just go wide receiver. You get the best offensive prospect that's not a quarterback off the board.
Dre, you going for number 3?
For that 3 spot, I'm actually going to take someone on their secondary, which is cornerback Jade Barron.
Wait a minute. So you're saying that you don't have Shador going top 3?
Oh, I have him going in. I just don't. You haven't said him on which team. You just haven't said the team.
Oh, he's at the Giants.
But you're saying that he's not going to be a top. If you were doing the job, he's not a top 3 overall pick.
I think like if you were predicting the
draft.
Oh
shit! I did forget. No. Oh no!
Because you said Cam was number 1, and then you never.
Cam, I did. I'm sorry about that. Run that. Let me change that. That was on a change him. Yeah. But are the Giants even in position to get a Q?
If in your position, if you have Cam Ward going 1 and you have Golden going 2, that means they would have room. The Giants technically at that 3 spot would be able to get a quarterback.
For the Q. Oh, so yeah, then no. If they don't create the room, I'm taking Jade Barron, their CB secondary. But if they can get that spot, if they can get a Q, then
No,
absolutely.
they're at number 3. They're the number 3 pick in the draft.
Oh, I'm giving him Shador.
Okay.
Jade can come at another point. I'm sorry, Shador, if you're watching this show. I did not mean
Yeah,
that.
I was about to say. I was just curious. I was just making sure. Like,
it seems like your list is more of like what prospects you think are the best. That's what it's looking.
Yeah, that's what it's. Yeah,
rather than fit.
Yeah, because I feel like Barrett is also another guy who probably would go late first round. It just seems like you like him as a prospect. You think like if you were doing like your own prospect ranking, then you probably would have him top 3, which is fine because I like Barrett too. I think he's severely underrated in my opinion, but I don't see him going top 3
that early.
Yeah, but I do think he's a great prospect. Don't get me wrong. Like if we were just prospects, then I'd be right there with you.
All right, so number 4, we got Dre's abysmal poverty franchise.
Don't disrespect the 6-time.
Who we going for? Where we going? Number 4, Jay.
Woo! I'm going with Oh, did you say me or Jay? I'm going with I'm taking another receiver, Luther Burden, out of Missouri. We got Diggs, we got Drake May, and we got if we can get Luther Burden, we can fit him right into that system. I think he is going to be an excellent addition to that team. So if I'm the GM, I'm taking Luther Burden on this.
Once again, it's like
God damn it, Jay Will.
Nigga, make your pick. Don't worry about who's your pick.
No, that's who I got though. I got Luther Burden.
To me, Luther Burden, like college wise, had a lot of hype. Not saying that he can't be good, but he kind of disappointed me in college. And apparently he has a little bit of character issues. So I feel like that may even hurt his draft stock a little bit if that all the rumors is true about him quitting on snaps and things like that when he was playing against teams like the like Florida and all those. But I do like his upside. I think he has potential to be great. He kind of scares me a little bit. I don't know why. I don't know. But I think with that 4th spot, I feel like it's hard. It would be hard for the Patriots to pass up on Travis Hunter. You know,
I forgot about that.
It's also a guy where it's like you can pair him up with Gonzalez in the second.
And their defense is pretty much set. You're just adding another potential generational guy.
That gives the Patriots a defense to work with. Not only that, but even if for some reason that doesn't work out, you can even try to plug him on the offensive end where you kind of need wide receivers, even though you got
wide receivers. Yeah,
I like that.
You have Travis Hunter, right there, wide receiver too, maybe potentially being able to step up for the team. So I feel like Travis Hunter has such good benefits for maybe both sides of the ball that could contribute to the Patriots in big ways that if I'm them, I don't pass up.
Jay, I think this draft can like change y'all trajectory, bro. From y'all being a laughing stock to finally like getting back in the mix, being a decent team.
But JC, that sounds sweet, but what do we always say?
It's not a paper
Scouts,
game.
do your effing job. If the scouts do their job right,
y'all should be all right. Yeah,
we should be all right.
Like in
it's easier said than done. And also, you said it's not a paper game either. But if we originally too, I was gonna go with Will Campbell, but he won't drop to us, and we don't really need that piece.
I like Will Campbell. Feel like a lot of people
sleep on him for some strange reason.
I mean, I've seen him lock down the entire Georgia defense where they had all those guys on the Eagles right now. I saw Will Campbell as a freshman.
I mean, you could never have too many lockdown corners.
Not at all. That's what I'm saying. Like, you put Travis Hunter and Gonzalez on the same secondary. That's dangerous, man. And I was already salty that y'all got Gonzalez out of Oregon too a couple of years back. So
and he's already making a slight name for himself as it is too.
Yeah.
So who you picking, Jay? Number 4.
Damn, I gotta take TH because Travis Hunter.
I just don't see him sliding. I don't.
He has to. If our scouts do our shit, if our scouts do our shit right, do their shit right, we can get him.
Last but not least, we'll do the 5th pick, which goes to Isaiah's squad, Jacksonville Jack.
Worst team in the AFC South, man. That's crazy.
Life comes at you fast, don't it?
It's really a tough pick because once again, Jaguars do need.
Jesus.
I wouldn't necessarily say Jesus. Maybe Moses. Let me pull up my draft board. Because and once again, this is not to talk trash about Isaiah's team because it's Isaiah. Isaiah's a cool friend, but they're just in a spot where it's just.
By the way, ESPN has Abdul Carter number one in the mock draft. Right?
That's not gonna happen. ESPN needs to stop. This may be I feel like what I'm about to say may be a hot take, because although I like Abdul Carter, don't get me wrong, he could be a generational prospect. For some reason, I just feel like Mason Graham from Michigan, the defensive lineman, I just feel like he would fit better in that Jacksonville Jaguar scheme, because I believe, if I'm not read correctly, the same defensive scheme the Jaguars run, Michigan does too, and Harbaugh ran that exact same scheme while he was there. I just feel like Mason Graham fits better for that defense than a Carter does coming off the edge. That may be a hot take. I feel like if I'm the Jaguars, I may have to take that risk and take Graham over Carter, and that may be something I have to live on. But I just really, really like Mason Graham. I love him, and I feel like he would fit perfectly with what the Jaguars want on defense.
Jerry,
I would take Josh Simmons at that spot.
I can see that too.
He's a second level space blocker, athleticism, and he's good with high zone blocking.
Josh, go ahead, Trey.
I was just gonna say he would just. I think not the person you chose. Absolutely, he would be a good fit. But I think Josh Simmons would also be. If you plug him in, I feel like he'll be one of those guys that catches on real quick.
Josh Simmons, to me, he's one of those guys in the draft where I feel like he will. I feel like a lot of these mock drafts, and this is why you were saying ESPN, because I don't really care for ESPN thoughts on college football when it comes to anything, because their draft predictions, I feel like it's more so just for clicks and not that's how they actually feel, But Josh Simmons is one of those offensive line prospects where it's also just like, I can see him being a top 10 pick. They have him projected top 20, but he's a perfect size for an offensive lineman, a really, really good blocker. It's tough because wait, do you take him over a Will Campbell? Do you take him over a Kelvin Banks Jr.? That's where the question comes into the play. And I feel like, once again, that will not determine whether do they feel like these guys are better than him. Do they fit better in the offense? Because not everybody's looking for a pass blocker. Not everybody's looking for a rush blocker. It just depends on what you want as an offensive lineman. So even though you could say that, yeah, Will Campbell is technically better than Josh Simmons, or Kelvin Banks Jr. is technically better than Josh Simmons, does he fit? Do they fit better with those teams, or is Josh Simmons the better fit? And I feel like if you're a team, you look for the better fit, not the better player.
Man, I ain't gonna lie, bro. This feels so low key addicting. I feel like next year we might have to try to set up something to where we really set up doing the first round or something together.
If you can
everybody go do their research, do their list, and then we come back and actually do the actual first round before the draft. I think that would be fun.
So do our own do an all grind mock draft.
Yeah, exactly.
I made one before free agency opened up, and now I have to change it completely around because some moves I didn't expect to happen. But
yeah.
Hey, JC, if you're real about that next year, absolutely. And then
let us know. We always trying to come with new ideas and spark up the show a little more, man.
Let us know.
We weren't really into college. When we first got started, I was completely damn near neglecting college. So we've grown in the last 3 years that we've been doing this to we really want to live up to our name, All Grind Sports. So
and I feel like too. I was just saying, just let us know in advance that way, because that round one.
Oh no, for sure. I'm talking about us everybody really going to their projected corners, really doing their research and putting a first round, or at least the top half or something, list together of who they have in that top 15, 20 or something like that. I think that'd be fun, and it'd be 4 or 5 of us or something like that.
That'll be fun as hell. Absolutely. Yeah. Anything to help the show grow too. That'll be people would tune in.
Because this was fun right here, and it was just us three. So
It's a
And
very
also, real quick, do you have? Can I send? I wanted to send a shout out. By the way, I sent one yesterday, but I want to send one last one, and that is to the grade 8 Alexander Ovechkin. You're now the all-time leading goal scorer in NHL history, surpassing Wayne Gretzky. Previous record 894, new record 895.
And it took the same amount of games from what I've seen.
Yep, same amount of games. And I just found out. I just effing found out. So not only is Alex Ovechkin he scored 50 plus goals in nine times in his career. One of those years, he scored 50 goals in his rookie season. Rookie season.
Yeah. Good for him, nigga. Lakers is finna play Dallas. I'm finna get the F up out of here. I need to see the Luka return. I appreciate y'all, my brothers. I love y'all to death, man. Appreciate y'all pulling up, sharing y'all time with me tonight, putting this episode together, man. It was a lot of fun. It's basketball time, baby. You know what I'm saying? I gotta pay out in my NBA fantasy championship this week. And then Monday we're doing our season recap / play-in preview. And yeah, man, it's about that time. I'm ready. Appreciate y'all, man. The fans keep running them numbers up, man. I can't express enough how grateful I am for y'all, getting us in the algorithm or whatever way y'all are. Some of our clips are kind of going crazy right now. There's going to be a lot more of those to come. So make sure y'all on the lookout for that. Jay, you're going to have some laughs tonight when I post a couple of the clips. But yeah, make sure y'all continue to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Let's take this to the furthest extent. You can catch us on all major directories. Just type in All Grind Sports Show. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, whatever your go-to for podcasts is, YouTube. And we right there for you. Go Lakers, go Rams, go Dodgers, go Sparks, Bruins. Peace. See y'all later.
Saudi national champions.
Everybody grown, now that's why it's changing. House party cracking on because T Green had to beat for your boy too. Fisher 15's freshman, I was fresh then, still is.